Bunny rabbits here. You can see here's one of them. Yeah, he's a good one. Look at that guy. Oh yeah. It's gonna be a little hot for him today. Oh yeah, look at that guy. Whoa. There are a couple more over here. There's one in the corner. Oh, there's one. They're pretty fast. They like to play a little bit. But I figure you guys would enjoy to see these guys. Well, I like to play with them. They're kind of playful. Oh, look at this guy. There's the mother. She's very friendly. She's very friendly. See, she's one of my favorites. Yeah. Hi guys, it's Grant Nelson again here with the Mustache Off-Grid YouTube channel. Just want to thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoy the video here. I'm going to talk a little bit about permaculture, a little bit about some of my gardening methods, and maybe get into a couple other topics as well. So anyway, I'll get straight into it. And one of the tricks and kind of one of the things that is helpful to me out here gardening is the concept of working with the land and not working against it. Out here, the soil is extremely rocky, and you want to dig in it and till it, and basically anything you got to do in the ground, digging, tilling, you want to do as little of that as possible. That's more of a punishment that they would make a chain gang do or something like that, is digging in the soil out here. Now I have to dig some stuff, obviously, but you know, you want to do as little of it as you have to do. And obviously the soil doesn't want to be dug. One of the tricks that I like to do for gardening that's helped me a lot is, first year I will till it up with that rock hoe. And that worked good. But after that I used the back to Eden gardening method. And basically what that is you're building topsoil, and you're putting compost directly on top of the soil, and then you're letting it break down, and you're building a layer of topsoil. So I do that right on top of the ground out here after the first year where I till it up, and that's been working really well. And the concept of permaculture, the concept of kind of, in my mind, working with the land and not against it. You know, I'll take barrels and barrels of leaves from out here in the woods, and I'll fill my raised beds with them. And then I'll add rabbit manure on top of that and just let it break down for months and months. That being said, that's why livestock and gardening work well together, and that's why that's kind of been a tried and true farming method for hundreds and if not thousands of years, is using the animal manure as fertilizer. Animal manure is one of the best fertilizers. I mean, if you're going to garden organic, it's the best fertilizer in my opinion. Rabbit manure is, they say horse manure is the best and rabbit manure is the second best. I don't know. I've never used horse manure, but I use a lot of rabbit manure. I raise a lot of rabbits out here for meat. And not only are they going to provide meat, but they provide great fertilizer as well. Now, that being said, I take the leaves and I stack rabbit manure on top of it and just let it break down. The worms come up right out of the ground and they break it down within probably 6 months. It's nice dark dirt. So animals work well with permaculture. If you're going to do organic gardening and you don't want to use fertilizer and pesticides and everything like that, I think rabbits are a great option. You can raise them in a lot of places. You can raise them in town. You can raise them out in the, you know, out on a homestead on 100 acres. It doesn't matter. They take up very little space. A couple rabbits, from 6 does, you can produce 600 pounds of meat, according to the rabbitry book that I read. You'll hear me talk in a lot of my videos, and I talk about reading a book. And in my mind, if you're going to go off-grid and you truly want to be successful, and you're dedicated to going off-grid, and you want to be successful, um, if you don't have the dedication to sit down and read a singular book, it's going to be hard for you to be dedicated enough to make it work on your land. Now, that's just an opinion. I know there's a ton of YouTube videos and things online that you can watch, and you know, you can see all the different homesteading things, and a lot of them are a little bit glamorized for YouTube, which I try to avoid with this channel. I try to make it as real as possible. Everything that I'm doing out here, I'm actually doing. And I'm not just doing it for a video. I'm actually planning on doing these things. Um, that being said, um, a great book on homesteading, and I think it can be very helpful off-grid. He has a lot of good gardening tips and tricks in it, is The Self-Sufficient Life and How to Live It by John Seymour. I read the book, and it was mind-blowing to me. It's amazing to me once I started reading books. Before I came out here, I didn't like reading. And I mostly read for information and less for entertainment, I'd say, but a little bit of both. That being said, that book has all kinds of information in it that you can't find online. I've noticed when I started reading books, though, that the information in the books is a lot more crisp, it's a lot more concise, it's a lot more factual, it's a lot easier to follow. Online, you get a lot more snippets of information. And a lot of the methods in books are long lost online. Most websites and things online all use electricity and modern tips. I'm not saying that there isn't good videos and things that can be helpful online. I've watched a lot of them that were helpful, but the information that I have gotten from books is long lost on the internet. It's not there. Just an opinion, guys. There's some great books out there that can help you homesteading, and The Self-Sufficient Life and How to Live It by John Seymour is a great book, but it talks a lot about gardening in the book and raising crops and grains for your animals and different things like that. If you can get animals and you can feed the animals, they're going to produce the fertilizer that'll grow your vegetables, and that's sustainable. You think about it, the animals fertilize the pasture, they eat the grass, they then fertilize the pasture, they eat the grass, and it's a continual cycle of them helping the grass grow and them eating the grass and it keeping them alive. So think in mind, if you can get to a point on your homestead that you're able to feed your animals naturally, then you're going to be able to grow your vegetables naturally as well, because you'll have that great fertilizer that they're producing right away. For hundreds of years, if not thousands of years, people have been adding manure to the soil to make it more fertile and fertilize it. In my opinion, it's such a, how can I put it? It's such a natural process. It just seems like the Lord intended it that way. You know, I can't say that for sure. It doesn't say that in the Bible, but it seems to me that the way that an animal lives off the land and produces manure, and the manure makes everything else grow that the animal eats, it just seems like a very natural and process. But yeah, working with the land, guys. If you're raising livestock, they're producing fertilizer that's going to help your garden grow, and compost that's going to help your garden grow. I like to use old leaves and sticks and twigs and things like that from the woods and just let them break down and add the manure right on top of it. In my permaculture video this week, I used an old straw bale that I had. If you got to bring things in from the outside, straw bales and things like that, they can be a good option for starting the Back to Eden method. If you lay a bale of straw down on the ground and then add manure on top of it, that's going to break down and make some nice soil for you. One thing, though, it talks about in that book, The Self-Sufficient Life, that I was telling you guys about, it talks about it not being sustainable to have to bring things in from the outside, and that's very true. That's why I like to use leaves and sticks and animal manure that I get all from my property. That way I'm not bringing things in. Now, right now, I am bringing in the animal feed to feed the rabbits, and I'd like to get to a point that I feed them naturally, because then I'm going to have a lot more sustainable system. If I can feed them off my land and produce them off my land instead of bringing rabbit feed in from the outside. Then it's all coming straight from my land, and it's a efficient and system that works in tandem. But if I got to go to town and get rabbit pellets, I'm gonna have to I'm using society a little bit, I guess you'd say. And you're gonna have to do that a little bit when you first go off grid and you first start raising animals, until you get to a point that you can produce your own feed for them. You're gonna have to probably buy feed. But the back to Eden method, you're putting a layer of compost down, you're putting manure on top of that, and it's letting it all break down, and you're creating topsoil. When you come out to the land, you're going to build all kinds of structures, but don't forget to build your topsoil. You know, you're going to come out to some red clay and some rock and some sand and some areas that are desolate and some places that nothing's ever been grown. So you're going to have to build topsoil just like you're going to have to build a cabin, or you're going to have to build a smokehouse or a barn or whatever you build. Don't forget to build the topsoil. The next topic I was going to talk a little bit about, if you're going off grid or wanting to go off grid or you're considering it, one thing that's helped me immensely is being able to weigh my wants and my needs. And what's a want, what's a need, what can I live without, and what can't I live without. And obviously food, water, shelter, and heating is climate control of some sort is going to be pretty big for most of us. But when I say that, I mean not just those things, but you're going to have to make some sacrifices and change your lifestyle going off grid at first. To me, it starts off and it's a lot like camping full time. If you're doing it on a budget and you're not buying a turnkey operation where you just have a house there already established and everything's already established, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. And in the long run, it's going to save you a lot of money making those sacrifices if you're trying to go off grid on a budget. But you're going to have to adjust your diet. You're going to have to adjust, you know, depending on what you do. I mean, if you get a really expensive solar setup and you run a deep freeze and a fridge and everything like that, you might not have to adjust your diet so much, but that's also going to cost a lot more money. The more modern conveniences that you want to use on your homestead, the more it's going to cost. The more primitive you go, the less it's going to cost. That's just an opinion, but for the most part, it makes sense. I mean, if you spend $20,000 on a solar setup to run a deep freeze and a TV and a computer and high-speed internet, and you have Starlink satellite internet hookup, that's going to cost a lot more than, like I have 5 RV solar panels. 4 of them are hooked up to a marine 12-volt battery, and 1 of them's hooked up to a Jackery portable power station. And I just use those things just to charge stuff. That's really all I use it for. I don't use it to run any specific appliances or anything like that. I just use it to charge my phone, GoPro, laptop, those things. And I don't have any internet out here. I actually go to town and use the internet at the library. Just think about that, guys. If you're going off grid, what changes are you going to have to make, and kind of get yourself mentally in a place that you can prepare for it. But like I said, it's a lot like camping at first for months on end, until you get things a little more established and a little more comfortable, and that's going to be faster or slower for different people. It's also going to cost more the more conveniences you want. If I wanted to go completely old school and not buy those that marine battery and those solar panels, that'd be obviously cheaper, because I don't have any electricity and I'm not going to pay for it, and maybe charge my phone in my car. But just an example, guys, the more conveniences you want, the more it's going to cost. The more primitive and the more old-fashioned you go, the less it's going to be. And you know, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with going out and spending a bunch of money to go off grid if you have the means to do so. I'm just saying that if you want to do it on a budget, get yourself mentally prepared in a place where you know, okay, I'm going to go out there and I'm not going to have air conditioning, or okay, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to set up water catchment. What kind of water catchment am I going to set up? How much am I going to need? Or am I going to spend the money to get a well drilled? You know, budget, you know, accordingly, and also get yourself mentally prepared for adjusting your lifestyle, because the wilderness ain't going to adjust to you. You're going to have to adjust to the wilderness. So just think about that a little bit. When I talked in the last video about my grocery list and some of the changes that I've made, I don't use a refrigerator or a freezer, so I do a lot more dry goods. In the last video, I talked about flour, um, salt, sugar, beans, rice, lard, salt pork, and spices, coffee, things like that. I do a lot more dry goods for my grocery shopping. But then also a couple things that I wanted to add in that I didn't mention in that last video was canned meat like Spam, tuna, hash. I like hash a lot. And ramen are also good dry goods to have off grid. They last a long time. They're easy to prepare. But you know, think of it as if you're camping out in the woods and you don't have a fridge or freezer. So you might have to adjust your grocery, what you're buying, you know, because certain things only last, you know, a certain amount of time out here. If I'm going to keep fresh meat, sometimes I'll take a Ziploc bag and I'll sink it in a cold bucket of water, fresh out of the well, with a rock in the shade, and it'll usually last about 2 or 3 days that way. But just you'll find tricks like that, but also you're going to have to adjust what you do if you want to live without some of the modern conveniences. So just get yourself mentally prepared for that if you're wanting to go off grid or go off grid. Get yourself in the mindset of an old-fashioned settler, you know, out on the frontier, is kind of the way I think of it in my mind, I guess. So just something I wanted to add to the video, guys, talk a little bit about it. And the solar panels that I had to charge my phone and stuff, earlier it just kind of crossed my mind that it'd be a good topic for the video, talking about, because I was thinking about the different solar setups that people get. Some people get a huge solar setup that could run a palace. Some people just get a very basic, you know, Jackery portable power station, and that's all they get. Or some people go out and they get none. And you know, depending on your budget and how much you're wanting to spend off grid, and you know, you might have to make some sacrifices going off grid and change your lifestyle to fit the off-grid lifestyle. You know, your hygiene's going to change. You might not be able to shower morning and night. Maybe it's just once a day. Maybe it's once every couple days. You know, maybe you have less pairs of clothes because it takes longer to wash them. You know, just lots of different things that you might have to adjust your lifestyle to off-grid, because off-grid's not going to adjust to you. Just an opinion on it, and obviously the more money you have, the more conveniences you'll have. But if you're trying to do it on a budget, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. Just facts of the matter. Not saying it, you know, to rub anyone the wrong way or anything like that. It's just obviously the more you spend, the more comfortable your lifestyle will be off grid, and the less you spend, the more primitive and the harder your lifestyle is going to be. And that's another thing too, adjusting your lifestyle. It's going to be hard work off grid. If you want to go out and garden, it takes a lot of work gardening, and it takes a lot of work raising animals and a lot of work building stuff. And you might have to adjust your physical endurance. You know, you might want to work on getting a little more fit, things like that. I'm not saying I'm some fitness junkie or anything like that. I do like to run and work out and stuff, and also I get a lot of exercise just working on my farm. But just the point that you're going to have to adjust some things depending on who you are and how you go off grid, and get yourself mentally in a place that you can do that. You know, just I try to be real on my channel. I try not to glamorize it for YouTube and things like that. And I just wanted to talk about this a little bit to try to get someone in a place that maybe they hadn't thought about, I guess, maybe. Because there's a lot of these YouTube channels that really glamorize the off-grid lifestyle. They make it, and it can be glamorous. And there are some great great joys to it. And there's a lot of great hardships, but the hardships actually are joys to me because I'm free doing them. You know, are you paying rent or a mortgage, or are you buying your freedom? You know, which is it? You know, think about what you're doing, and you know, what you're willing to sacrifice to go off grid. Because I guess I hear a lot of people that are really say they can't, and I just believe that you can. You know, I believe you can do it, and you know, when I first came out here, I talked with one of my friends, and you know, I wasn't sure of myself, and I said, "Do you think that I could make it work? You know, do you think I can? You think I'm going to make it work?" And a lot of people do fail going off grid, and you know, they end up selling off their property and getting out of it for various reasons. But the point is that I doubted myself a little bit when I first came out here, and you might be doubting yourself a little bit too, but you can do it. You know, but plan it accordingly, be smart about it, and you know, think about yourself, what you're willing to sacrifice and how far you're willing to go off grid, and you know, what kind of an off grid lifestyle you want and where you need to get there. Anyway, that's kind of a ramble, guys, but hope you enjoy the video. Hopefully the gardening tips help someone, and if you enjoy the video, feel free to like and subscribe. You can email mustacheoffgrid188@gmail.com with any off-grid questions you have, and I'll answer them in the weekly talk show that I do on Tuesdays. And hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and God bless. Sit. Sit. Come on, sit. Oh, good boy. Good boy. Lay down. Lay down. All right. Good boy. Hey, guys, let's make Bailey famous. Let's make Bailey famous. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Mustache Off Grid. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and God bless. Let's make Bailey famous, guys.